Sandhan. All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.
Good evening all of you. In today's session we will discuss about EXIM policy in India. In today's session we will have a glance on history of foreign trade policy, the legal framework of foreign trade policy, some special focus initiatives, even we will have a discussion on EXIM policy, and then we will have some general provisions regarding import and exports. Now, first of all, if we discuss about why exports, why imports, then this is some brief view that why exports. Actually, it is necessary for a developing country to export continuously, because export growth ultimately results in creation of jobs, build up of infrastructure, economies of scale, and added foreign exchange earnings. In today's world economy in nature, and actually increase export give credibility to the standing of our country and even our overseas market. So therefore exports are important and are considered a national priority by Government of India. Now, if we will have a look on why imports, before we had to discuss, we had a glance on why exports. Now we will discuss about why imports. Imports is actually it is not possible to survive without imports when the world is moving so rapidly towards globalization and liberalization. Now, the phenomenon of global sourcing at most competitive cost and the need to increase the productivity of the domestic industry through the import of high technology products has resulted in the import liberalization being an imperative tool for growth, economic growth. Then, if we have a history on foreign trade policy, in this session we will have a glance on Sea Custom Act 1878, Import and Export Control Act 1947. Then even we will have a glance on Import and Export Control Act 1947, which had came into effect on 25th March 1947. Then we will also have the Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1922, which was replaced by the Ordinance of 7th August 1992. Now, if we look on the history of foreign trade policy, actually if we talk about the time before British Revolution, India had a trade surplus for centuries together through export of spices, handicraft, textiles, and many more products. But and at that duration there was no restriction on import and exports. But the situation had changed after the British took over the power. Before India got independence, import of goods from Great Britain received official encouragements through imperial preferences. Actually, there was corresponding disincentives for imports of goods from other countries. And the most of the importers were British. Most of the European powers were at loggerhead. Actually the British trader naturally preferred to import from Britain or wherever they find it convenient, from other British colonies also. Actually this was the scenario which was there if we talk about the time of British rule. The bias from the imports from Britain was inherent in that given situation. They used to import, they used to give preference to British, to Britain and even the colonies which were related to Britain. Now, so the British had formed an act which was the Sea Custom Act 1878. that provide for the basis for implementing the official bias in the favor of imports from Britain. And the goods originating from other countries could simply charge higher import duties than the goods originating from Britain and the territories favored by the Britain. So there was, however, no separate statutory mechanism or enactment to prohibit or restrict the import of goods except under the Sea Custom Act 1878. If we talk in other ways, the goods could be freely imported provided the imported duties were paid. And they had listed the few goods that were subjected to import duties, and the import duties were also not too high. The imperial government even preferred land revenue as the principal mean for raising the revenues. Even the import duties did not constitute a significant share on those revenues. Now, if we talk about India, the government of India had implemented the act in 1935 and guaranteed the central government the exclusive legislative power to regulate the import of goods into India and exports of goods from India. But however, this power was never used until 1947, when Import and Exports Control Act 47 was enacted. Actually, the need of the act, although it was enacted in 1935, but till 47 the act was not being implemented. The need arose out of the consequences of the Second World War. And during the interwar years, quite a few Indian businessmen had taken to manufacturing as well as trading. And the initial monopoly of British importers and exporters was being challenged through those local businessmen. It was getting increasingly difficult to rely on only the loyalty of British traders to ensure that the most goods were imported from Britain or the British colonies. So the Second World War diverted significant resources to the war efforts. Even a great deal of shipping space in the Indian port had to be surrendered for war purposes also. The war had caused, and even it has resulted in the shortage, and even the available of foreign exchange had to be conserved for the war efforts. Now, initially the government used Defence of India Rule 1939 to control imports of most, or we can say imports of some 68 commodities. Soon or more, those commodities were bought under the control of notification. Even the end of the Second World War meant the lapse of Defence of India Rule 1939 through the Emergency Provision Ordinance Act Ordinance 1946. Even the government continued the emergency provisions, including the restrictions under import trade control also. Now, in 1947, the need was felt to replace the emergency provision through a permanent enactment, and this is how a special statute, that is the Import and Export Control Act 1947, came into effect on 25th March 1947. The Import and Export Control Act 1947 was enacted to continue a limited period. Actually, the period which was fixed was only for 3 years, but it was extended from time to time till 1971. See, we can see that the 47 Act was carried forward till 1971. Therefore, the Act ceased to be temporary measures and became a permanent statute also. Now, if we talk about in early of 50s, the Indian government took several measures to build an industrial base in the country. It allocated substantial resources for infrastructure building such as steel plants, and they had also tried to develop some core sectors also. The private sector were also encouraged to set up industries in the non-core sectors also, and those infant industries were needed protection from influx of import goods too. So the government issued the Import Control Order 1955, allowing most of the imports against the import license. Now, if we talk about the scenario in 1976, actually some far-reaching changes were made to Import and Export Control Act 1947. And the amended act gave the central government wider power to prohibit, restrict and even control the import and export trade. Actually, the act covered practically all articles of trade and manufacture except those permitted to be imported and imported under a license or custom clearance permit or an open general license. The Export Order 98 held away before liberalization process was launched in 1991. This after industrialization, the scenario before industrialization, this scenario was being there. Now, till now, we are just having a glance of some of the history of this foreign trade policy. And if we talk meantime, the Sea Custom Act 1878 was replaced by the Custom Act 1962. Section 11 of the Custom Act 1962 controlled the import and export of certain goods. Even the import and export of gold, silver, currency notes, coins and securities were controlled under the provisions of Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1973. Now, in 1991, the central government urged in economic reforms in the country. One of the basic aim of the reform process was to progressively integrate the Indian economy with the respect of the world economy. The process called for progressive liberalizations of control and even elimination of discriminatory licensing for imports and exports. Actually, the legal framework had also to be amended so as to reflect new realities, and from time to time we can come to know the situation of the market. Now, the government introduced in Parliament the Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Bill in 1992 to provide for development and regulation of foreign trade by facilitating imports into India and augmenting exports from India. As the Parliament was not in session, the President promulgated the Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Ordinance number 11 of 1992 on 19th June 1992. Now, the Foreign Trade Development Regulation Act 1992 replaced the ordinance of 7th August 1992. Even the provisions of the act were deemed to have come into force from 19th August 92, except from section 11 to 14, which came into effect from 7th August 1992. Then the central government used to notify the import and export policy every year. The policy book was also known as the Red Book. In 1985, the government started to practice of notifying a 3-year policy, and the year 1988 to year 1991 policy, however, was prematurely terminated and replaced by 1903 to 1993 policy. This policy turned premature and gave way to a 5-year policy from 1992 to 1997. Now, the next 5-year policy for the period of 97 to 2002 was also notified. Even the tenure for policy was 5 years. We had seen that from 3 years it had been increased to 5 years in order to provide stability and thereby minimize the uncertainties for the exports and imports. Now, the 5-year policy for the period 2002 to 2007 was notified in the year 2004, which with the change of government, and was also imported into new 5-year foreign trade policy for the period of 2004 to 2009. The import policy prior to 1992 contained an open general license, or we can say OGL, under which specific goods could be imported by the special categories of importers subject to the fulfillment of certain conditions. Actually, in this they had specified the categories of importers under the OLG Act. Similarly, open general license was needed in year 1992. The policy had even amended to do away with general license, and they had also allowed import and exports of goods without a license, except those specially mentioned in the small negative list. Actually, a negative list was created in that industries were listed out. The import items were also listed out. Now, if we talk about the scenario in 1995, the World Trade Organization was established and India became one of the founder member of WTO. As per the commitment under the agreements with WTO, India could maintain quantitative restrictions, that is import licensing only under certain exceptions, namely on the ground of public health, safety, security, etc. India, however, continued to maintain a quantitative restriction on the ground